Now, we promised you we'd be talking about immigration here, and we will be. We're going to talk to Clarissa Martinez de Castro. She's the Director of Immigration and National Campaigns at the National Council of La Raza. Clarissa, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Now, of course, we want to talk about the possible law in Arizona that's already passed the House and the Senate in that state. Tell us what that new law would do.
You know, I think the easiest way to describe it is that Latinos across the country, particularly in Arizona, but across the country today, felt like they got kicked in the stomach. The law in Arizona is, aside from what it will do, is just a real symbol of how Latinos are regarded in that state, and it blows the door open to racial profiling, but by allowing cops to interrogate people who they have reasonable suspicion are undocumented and ask them for their papers. And in a state where 30% of the population is Latino and the majority of them are actually citizens and legal permanent residents, there's already a track record that people are being harassed, and the state and the governor today decided that rather than limit those practices, they're going to spread them through the rest of the state.
But Clarissa, I want to challenge you on that a little bit. I mean, reasonable suspicion is, for lack of a better word, fairly normal legal standard. What else should they have before figuring out if someone is legal or illegal?
Well, I mean, right now there's been different programs that the Department of Homeland Security has put in place with local police. And what we have learned from those programs is that they have led to a lot of abuses, even though they've been supposed to get implemented in a much more controlled environment and with cops having training about how to interact with people and how to determine whether their documents are real or not. The reality is that if you think of the majority of U.S. citizens, if somebody stops you and asks you to prove that you are a citizen, how many of us actually have proof of citizenship? And if that proof, people are going to take it for de facto being that you have a driver's license, what if you don't have one? How are you going to prove that? And so it just opens the door to us. This is not speculation. We've already seen that happening.
So now the governor did sign it, and it is law now, so we'll, of course, get to see how it's enforced. And that's what we're all concerned about, and I'm concerned about it. And we've been talking about it on the show for the last couple of days. You know, congressmen saying, oh, no, you'll be able to tell the illegals apart. I don't know what that means. I don't know how he says, oh, look at their shoes. Okay, that's absurd, right? So I get that, and I sympathize greatly with that. But I guess I don't have a good answer for the other side of the equation. So, you know, if somebody suspects that someone really is an illegal immigrant, authorities do, a cop, whatever, by the border, not by the border, I don't know. What should they do about it, Clarissa?
Well, here's a couple of things. I mean, there's one thing we agree with the governor on completely, and that is that this is a problem that they've been left to grapple with because the federal government has not taken action. They've abdicated their responsibility on this issue, and they have left states and localities to grapple with it, even though they have no jurisdiction to fix the problem. And it is absolutely legitimate, the growing frustration around the country with the broken immigration system. But I think what you have is that there are politicians out there, like Mr. Pierce in this case, who've been doing these kinds of laws for a while. They know they don't solve the actual problem, but they're doing it for political reasons. The real possibility at fixing this problem is to get Congress to take up comprehensive immigration reform. Now, in terms of going after people who are undocumented, you know, the calculation is that there's between 10 and 12 million people who are undocumented in the country. So if you think about how you're going to best use the resources that you have to go after folks, we are completely in support of going after people that mean to do us harm and criminals. But that's not what we're seeing.
But Clarissa, you know, I'm stuck on this point because I don't have a good answer for it.
Sure.
Because, yeah, I hear you on that, and I'm in favor of comprehensive immigration reform, and I think that that's the direction they should go. And it's just too many people to say, all right, I'm going to get this guy, that guy. But it is illegal, and well, you know, it depends on how you frame it. But certainly they're undocumented, at least, and they're not supposed to be in the country. So I get why a cop would, would say, okay, well, I got to find out who's documented and undocumented and take action. It seems weird to tell a cop, no, you can't ask that. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. But look, the funny thing is that everybody talks about cops, and the reality is that cops at best are split on this. There's been lots of voices from the law enforcement community saying, we do not want to be the enforcers of immigration laws. We are doing a lot to try to build community trust so we can go after criminals, and this thing drives a deep wedge between the community and us. So, I mean, it's about discretion, right? Do you want cops, if you were looking at a different situation, would you want cops to be spending their time writing tickets for jaywalking, or do you want cops to go after drug dealers? It's the same kind of situation here. In a county like Maricopa County, for example, where I think everybody knows about Sheriff Arpaio and how he's taken a really hard line on people who are illegally in the country, there are about 47,000 criminal warrants sitting in Maricopa County, while they instead are diverting resources to go after people who may not have committed a crime other than the civil violation. So, yes, it's a civil violation, but where is the ability of cops to use their discretion as to who they're going to go after?
I think a lot of people would disagree with your characterization as analogy of comparing it to jaywalking.
No, I wasn't comparing it to jaywalking. That's why I said, if you look at it in a completely different context, right, in terms of how you allocate law enforcement time, not in the context of immigration. I wasn't comparing it to immigration violations.
So, Clarissa, I'm going to give it one more shot. How would you, I hear everything you're saying. I don't even disagree with anything you're saying. I would much rather that they go after criminals. I would much rather they do comprehensive immigration reform. But how would you do enforcement? Because they're confronted by that quandary every day. How would you do enforcement if you were in charge of the police or if you were writing the law in Arizona?
Well, right now they have the ability that if they pick up somebody who's committed a crime, they can check if that person's immigration status, and if that person is somebody who is undocumented, can be deported. So, but the difference
you would focus on criminals, and you would not try to find out who's legal or illegal or documented or undocumented in the country.
Well, it's like adding hay to the haystack as opposed to taking hay out of the haystack, right? So if the real problem here is that we want to make sure that communities are safe, and now we're going to make cops, and if they don't do it, they're going to be liable for lawsuits, that they got to question people because they suspect them to be undocumented. The first question that comes to my mind is, what does that mean? Mm-hmm. What does that mean, particularly in a population like Arizona, like where what I said is 30% Latino? How do you decide who you stop? We know right now, not anecdote, not speculation. There's lawsuits right now of people who've been harassed, who are U.S. citizens and legal permanent residents. So if what we're saying is that we condone the harassment of anybody who is suspicious in the name of going after the population that might be undocumented, I guess the question is, are we okay with that?
So what I'm hearing from you is don't waste your time on that. And I'm not agreeing or disagreeing, okay? But you're saying focus on the criminals, let the system handle how they're documented or undocumented, but not on a case-by-case basis.
Well, not an indiscriminate. Cops have discretion. This law takes away their discretion. And at the end of the day, the reality is that Arizona is powerless, speaking from a legal jurisdiction perspective, to actually apply immigration laws or fix the immigration system. Okay. And so that's where this gets really complicated, because this law is going to be subjected to lawsuits because its constitutionality is very questionable. So its authors know that. They know it's not going to solve the problem. They know it's going to cost the taxpayers money, and they still decided to go forward. That's what I find reprehensible on top of everything else.
All right. We're talking to Clarissa Martinez de Castro. She is with the National Council of La Raza. So, Clarissa, one more thing on a larger issue. You mentioned the real fixes, of course, in immigration reform. So far, the Obama administration doesn't seem to have taken a lot of steps in that direction. And we saw a report earlier this week that they're going to hold off on it even longer because they don't think they have the votes on it. Are you disappointed in how that's turned out?
Well, I think that there's been a need for greater leadership from the White House and from Congress in both parties. This issue has always been bipartisan, and we need both parties to act. And I think that the overreach in the extreme nature of the Arizona law really lights a fire under Congress. If we're going to deal with more situations like this, where the whole community is going to be regarded suspect in their own home, this is right the responsibility of Congress. And the president today made a very strong statement acknowledging that when the federal government abdicates its responsibility, then it encourages irresponsible actions like the one we're seeing in Arizona. And I think this is really going to lend energy to make progress on comprehensive immigration reform, which folks know is the only way we're going to be able to get out of this.
You said this is bipartisan. Really? You're going to get any Republican to vote for immigration reform with a pathway to citizenship?
Well, the reality is that if you look at past votes on immigration reform, it's always been built or defeated at the hands of both parties working together. And the last time that a bill passed the Senate was in 2006, also a midterm election. And I think that right now the opportunity is ripe to do that. And it's rare when you have an issue where the policy urgency, the moral imperative, and the smart politics line up. And this is one of them. And absolutely, there's an environment where folks don't want to work together, but they are muddling through it, and this is a perfect opportunity to do it.
All right. Well, I'll be surprised by that, but okay. And then finally, and you know the facts on the voting records better than I do, so I would be happy to be surprised. Finally, just a real quick technical question. Now that this is law in Arizona, how do you prove you're a documented citizen? I mean, do you have to carry around your passport, or can you take the cops back to your home and be like, oh, here's my passport. See, do you know how that works?
Well, and that's exactly part of the point, right? How many Americans have passports?
Did Bush have one before he became president?
So if you're going to be able to take somebody back to your house and show them what? How many Americans actually even have birth certificates with them at any time? So
do you know do they have to carry it on them, or can they prove it some other way later?
I don't know. We're going to have to see. But the real question is that something that is acceptable?
Yeah, I don't know. You know what one of these jokers are going to do? When Obama goes to Arizona, they're going to try to pull him over and have him show his birth certificate. So,
well, they also passed a birther bill, so, that tells you a little bit about the Arizona legislature.
Okay, well, good luck to them. Anyway, Clarissa, thank you so much for joining us on The Young Turks. Very interesting conversation. Thank you for your time.
No problem. Thank you.